Hi, Jamie Davis from the Nursing Show here at ANIA 2016 in San Francisco. I'm here with Kathleen, and we're going to be talking about her poster presentation here, which there's some amazing pieces of research and information that are being presented here, and she's got one of them. Before we get started with that, Kathleen, just real quickly, tell us a little bit about why you wanted to become a nurse.
Well, honestly, from early on, and my sense was always that there's always going to be people who are in a place where they can't care for themselves, and that they needed somebody there to be their voice and take care of them at those times. So really to be there and be the voice of someone who couldn't speak for themselves.
Yeah, that's such a great way to put it. I mean, because we really have those people that either don't know how to tell you what's wrong with them, and you have to suss that out. I mean, we almost have to be detectives in some ways as nurses to figure that out. So one of the questions we were talking about before we got started recording was you were talking about how people really don't understand what nursing informatics is. How would you define informatics in nursing?
Well, it's interesting that your first question was the one it was, because that's really what a nursing informaticist does, is the same thing. Like, nurses don't know how to say what they need. So they're suffering and they need something, and they go to somebody in IT and they say, this is what I want, and get it built, and then say, but that's not what I needed. And so the role of the informaticist is to translate and to be the voice of the nurse to the people who have these technical skills and ability. So it's really like nursing 2.0, being an informaticist.
I was going to say, like, almost like tech nurses.
Right. Well, yeah.
Right.
Yeah, you're like a technical nurse, but you're really caring for the nurses who are caring for the people, so everybody can do their best job.
How do you feel about the fact that, that gives you the ability to, when you move from the bedside nurse to the nurse informaticist, you get away from the direct patient care, but you have so much impact over all the patient care in your facility when you do that?
Right. I never felt like I gave up patient care. So I am constantly, so my office is across the street from our hospital, but I am constantly across the street, talking to our nurses, asking how things go, I do policies and procedures, so looking at the software with them, asking how it's working. So I don't feel like I've ever stopped caring for patients.
So what's your poster about? What are you here to present on?
Oh, well, so there's very little in the literature about how to manage clinical policies and procedures, like nothing. I think I found anything I could find was in the organizational literature. So I'm very evidence-based. And so when I came into my role 3 years ago, I wanted to know what's the best way to create, manage, store, retrieve, and make sure you have evidence-based policies. And the only thing we could find is in organizational literature, which really didn't apply very well. Plus, the products that are available on the market are very rigid. So there's expensive, rigid products that are very time-consuming even to implement and work hard to restrict access. But if you think about a hospital or healthcare, the last thing you need is restricted access. You need everybody who has, who understands the topic to be engaged. And it's a very organic kind of an organization. So our organization had purchased a product that after a year and a half, they still had not been able to operationalize. And that was the time I kind of got into my role and was learning about it. And I asked if I could see it and started sitting in on some of the meetings and was like, this is not going to work. We've got to stop this right away. And what was really challenging is there was really no support to make, because I didn't have the authority to make that decision because I'm a policy manager. Like, I don't have informaticist in my title. But we really worked hard to create a list of must-haves for what would work in our setting. Met the one person in IT who was really engaged with SharePoint, met the one person in IT who knew anything about search, started meeting for an hour every other Wednesday, and after a couple of months had put together a really nice plan for a system.
And so you were able to apply the nursing practice to identifying and then implementing a program to get the job done.
It was amazing. So I'd come on Wednesday and say, I'd go across the street and talk to our nurses and say, what do you need and how do you find it and what would you look for and what would you want in there? And I'd come back across the street and say, can you do this, can you do that, can you do that? And they'd be like, yeah, we can do that. And I thought nobody ever asked the questions before because they had the technology, they just didn't know that we wanted it. And so we worked super hard on this and then got permission to move forward. And using an out-of-the-box product that we were using for our intranet, after just a couple of months and small modifications, we've launched this incredible management system.
That's fantastic. And another thing I hear you saying is one of the other people I interviewed yesterday said that it's important for nurses or somebody to take the stories of the nurse at the bedside and take them to the IT professionals so that they can hear those stories and then find the best way to implement them.
Well, that's what the keynote speaker said yesterday. And it was, the light went on when he said that, because I've been always saying we're translating, but we're storytelling. Mm-hmm. We're giving the depth and the richness and understanding, and then I would have to pitch it. I know this is hard to build, but it'll be so important for sustaining the system. If we build it this way now, then when other people come into our roles, they'll be able to manage it. And as this system goes on, it will just get better and better. So, yeah, it really was taking that story there and giving the examples. So one of the things I did early on, I went to the NICU and I said, if you were looking for this, how would you find it? And I thought, well, they'll probably take 90 seconds to look for it. So I did a little time study. After 17 seconds, they gave up if they couldn't find it. But if you think about it, there's research that shows that a critical care nurse changes tasks every 27 seconds, which means if they waited 90 seconds, they'd miss 9 tasks. So, we have to have deliverables so that people can still do their jobs, which is caring for our patients.
Excellent. One quick shift in our question, or a final question here, is why do you think it's important for not just nurses in informatics, but nurses in any specialty to attend their organization's annual event, the conferences like ANIA? Why is it important for that nursing informaticist to be here at this event maybe next year?
It's incredibly empowering. So I presented multiple times at the Magnet Conference. I presented other conferences. This is a very high level of engagement and ownership of your career at this conference. I'm very impressed. It's my first time. But the opportunity to talk to people who have the same interests you have, because many of us are working in very isolated settings and don't have people understand what we're talking about, but to be somewhere where people share a common language and have the same concerns and problems and are finding solutions is incredibly energizing and empowering.
Fantastic. Well, Kathleen, thank you for coming on the show. Yeah. And I want to thank all of you for checking out this segment here from ANIA 2016 in San Francisco. Remember, you can find all the videos that I've been shooting here over at ania.org, as well as over at NursingShow.com.